Alright, hello, welcome to today's project update. At this state, I've got a 700 and I think it's 93 point bolt action list, first Polish Armoured Division. And you've seen the models before in the previous updates except for the tank. I got the tank secondhand. It was given to me by a friend at Gaming. It's going to count as a Sherman 2A, which would have been delivered to the division in like April of '45, really close to the end of the war. I need to do a lot of detail work on it, but we'll get to that later. For now, let's kind of review the platoon as a whole. You might remember these from the previous project build-up videos. So here we have the first lieutenant. He's in the 10th Dragoons. He does have a platoon of 3 sections, 3 identically armed right now, with a Bren, 2 Stens, and 2 Enfields. There are only 5-man sections, so they're essentially a half-strength squad at this point. But he does have his Piat squad team. What I've got now is I've added essentially the light mortar team from the 8th Rifles, a artillery spotter. I don't know. He'll probably he's going to be an artillery spotter with his assistant, because for British armies you basically get a free forward observer for artillery. So might as well get the points. So those are in there, and then a single squad of 8 8th Rifles. Okay. Now, this is all the models I've got, right? So that's kind of why I had to put it together. The way the project list, or the Army list, is built is you have a second lieutenant, and then, or first or second lieutenant, and then 2 sections of infantry that can be regular or veteran. Now, you can add to that reinforced platoon 1 veteran section, or 0 to 4 regular sections. So, since I had all these extra guys, I had to make this and these guys regular infantry. That way it fits in, so I've got them all. Now the last thing I've got is the actual Sherman. Now that is a Sherman 2A. It's just a regular, I believe, M3A4. I honestly have forgotten the exact designation, mostly because it doesn't really matter for my purposes. I'll be doing some modifications. This was donated to me. It does have a base coat on it of the regular U.S. Green. It has 75mm gun. The turret is the early version of the turret, so it only has the 1 hatch. I might try to put a second hatch on there. But the big deal is, in order for me to actually represent a 2A appropriately, I definitely need to get some stowage. By this time of the war, most of the tank crews, and I've got pictures of a 2A in specific, or in particular, with just tracks laid out, attached to the side of the hull, going down the entire length of the hull, up the front, plenty of tracks. You can almost track a whole nother tank with as many tracks that are on there. So I need to get some of that in order to put those on before I do any type of further painting or decaling. So you won't see any progress on that particular tank for a bit. So, alright, so now here's how things are going to work out with this. I've got all the models are ready for the tabletop. They look just fine, but they're not done, and I want to take them to a slightly different level. These aren't going to be, showcase paint levels, but these are going to be what I would consider higher, what do you call it, tabletop, right? It's more like a scale model. So what's left to do, aside from the basing, is actually most of the detail and extra highlight work. What's been done already is obviously the base coating and the wash, but what I did on these for the Dragoon, well, for all the uniforms, I put another coat of English uniform on like their shoulders and the tops of the upper surfaces of the arm sleeves. Any surfaces like the back of the leg, lower leg, where they're leaning forward and it's behind, so it's going to get extra, light from above. Any of the areas that I would expect to get a little bit more light, I painted those with another base coat to brighten it up just a hair so it looks, you get to that difference between the higher base color and the darker washed tones, as well as then the darker recesses. Try to get some more gradation there. Flesh was done the same way, just highlighting the cheeks and kind of the jawline, or the bridge of the nose and the tops of the hands. Picked out the Hessian strips in the with dark sand and Russian uniform in the 8th Infantry's. Oops, there you go. In their helmets. Oh, that's not good. Then I did the bolt gun metal, or sorry, the bolt gun. Oh man, the gunmetal color on the Lee Enfield bayonets, really, the front. Now, what's left to do, though, is quite a bit. Okay, first of all, on all of the Lee Enfields, I need to go through and paint all of the metal fittings, the trigger group, the bolt, the bands around the rifle stock. All of those need to be the gunmetal or a black to really, get the detail in there. I need to make sure that, like the entrenching tool, the handle gets browned. Need to go through and put the insignia on the front beret, the eagle insignia on the front of the lieutenant's beret. There's some other details that I have to pick out on certain models. I tried to do the cap on the canteens for all of them. I think I got all those covered. But one of the things that's big step is next is what I'll consider weathering. So they're going to show some wear, like on their elbows, on the knees, the legs, just some dirt, and I'm going to mix the English brown with a lighter color to get a faded look, to add that to the actual models to give it a real kind of a weathered, lived-in kind of look, so they're a little more realistic. So that's where we're at. It'll be a few more weeks before these are done. I definitely want to take those slow and do a good job with them. We'll have to see how it all plays out, but they are ready for this week's battle, and I'll be learning the game for the first time. I've poured over the brief, the rules summary. I know the flow of the game. I have a lot more to learn though, so we'll see how it plays out. And hopefully it won't take too long for me to buy the rest of the 2 platoons. Alright, so that's the update on the Army. We're not going to take a break on these things. We're going to keep going because I do want to get them done. That'll be 30 models if I get the infantry done off my queue, and I'll finally be below 100. Alright, so thanks for sticking with me. Hope you're finding some inspiration on some of these models, especially these kind of scale miniatures, historicals. Share, like, and subscribe, and comment below and let me know what you think. Alright, talk to you guys later. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.